Okay. So, I will start from square one because in all likelihood, either you do not know what I will say about square one, or you're messing it up in your games, which is completely understandable. Chess is very hard. Let's preface this. If anyone around doesn't play chess, withhold judgment and or comments until you play chess. Okay? It's very complex. It's very difficult. So. I don't know much about chess lessons. Elite Chess also has lessons, by the way. You go to learn, study. Oh, this is not what I wanted. Hold on. I lied. Chess basics. Okay, so obviously there's those, but they get slowly better, you know, into some really good stuff. So yeah, these practices are really good. Um, the tactics are obviously very good. I don't know what this is. What is? Oh, that's just if you don't have like an account period. And yeah, those are all free, unlike on chess.com. These are all free. So, um, and if anybody ever wants to contribute to Elite Chess, it's all free and open source, nonprofit, just to help keep the servers up, basically. You can do that. You can donate. I used to do that when I was less broke, but I really just I can't do that anymore. But anyways, and so I am eating a true struggle meal: rice with soy sauce. I do too. Use some exactly platinum, actually. Funny enough, um, I use both. I really do. It's not even depression. It's literally just poverty, which is possibly worse. So I'm gonna start from the start. Okay. I'm gonna stop eating so that I can talk. We're going to go to the analysis board. Lichess has a very good analysis board. It's better than chess.com's. I've talked about it before. The only reason I ever use chess.com, period, um, is that I like the multiple pre-move feature. I'm just snacking you, so no worries. I'm not that hungry. That's literally the only reason. Okay, so I have an analysis board up here. You can see over here, this is the opening explorer. That's really good. But yeah, definitely Yuso. I would say never pre-move for you. Until you're like 1,000 elo, there's literally no reason to pre-move, especially in rapid. Especially in rapid, there's no reason to. Just don't. Don't pre-move. Don't try to do any sacrifices or anything like that. Like literally just play solid. Just play solid chess. Don't hang anything and take advantage of your opponent's blunders. Literally. And that I mean those rules apply everywhere, obviously. excuse me, everywhere obviously, but even if that's your main focus, that can get you to like almost 2,000. Like, don't need any opening prep, nothing like that. So, thank you. Okay, so we just started a chess game. All right. What our objectives to begin the game are to put pawns in the center of the board. Um, well, okay. There's one goal that encompasses two different things, or maybe more than two. The goal is to control the center of the board. Okay, that's our goal. It's to control the center of the board. So the first way that we're gonna do that doesn't have to be the first, but it can be. It's one of the first ways, is by putting pawns in the center. Okay, um, and I'll recommend d4 is fine, but I play e4, so I will recommend that as that is what I can help the most with. Okay. So I'll play e4. Okay, and as black, by the way, I'm going to recommend you always play e5 against e4. Good. This song sounds like somebody's knocking and it's driving me crazy. I was losing my mind slowly listening to that song. Um, so we're going to play e4. Okay. So our goals are control the center with our pawns and with our minor pieces. Okay. So bishops and knights are called minor pieces. It's another thing that maybe is not all that commonly known when you're starting out. These are called your minor pieces, and the rooks and the queen are called major pieces. Okay. And when I say the word piece, if I say I hung a piece, I do not mean pawns. Pawns are pieces on the chessboard, yes, but when I say piece, I mean these guys. Always. And so I have an emote for that. When I say a piece, I mean these guys. And so sometimes, and let's also go over, I suppose, minor pieces are worth, whoops, 3 pawns. Okay, that's when you see the evaluation, that like Stockfish gives, for example. You see that number? That number is in terms of pawns. So if it says +1, that means white has an advantage equal to the value of 1 pawn. Okay. Minor pieces are worth 3 pawns. Rooks are worth 5 pawns. And the queen is worth 9 pawns. Okay, and pawns are hopefully obviously worth 1 pawn. Okay, so if you're in a situation where you have to choose whether you lose one piece or another, the queen is the last piece that you'll want to lose, followed by rooks, and then minor pieces are like, the least valuable out of anything on your back rank. Okay. And maybe not as important, but while I'm on the topic, if you, for example, it comes where you want to you trade a minor piece for a rook. In this situation, if I gave up my knight for my opponent's rook, that would be called winning an exchange. We call the difference between a minor piece and a rook an exchange, and that's not important necessarily, but you'll hear people talking. You'll hear people using that word a lot, so it's good to know what it means. But that's not important to your play at all. Okay, so our opening principles: control the center with our pawns and our minor pieces. Develop our minor pieces, which means to move them off of their starting squares. Okay, When someone says you want to develop a piece, that means to move it. Get it off its starting square. For things other than the rook, get it off the back rank. Okay. Yeah. I assumed as much from, you said you'd taken some lessons. So. Control the center. Put pawns in the center. Develop your minor pieces, especially the ones on the king side. And castle. Okay. So that's going to be our goal in every opening. Control the center, develop your minor pieces, castle. And later on, another thing that we're going to want is to connect our rooks. And that means if I took all these pieces off the board, I'm going to say I castled because you can't take the king off the board. I would recommend not to castle queenside at a low level. It's fine to do, but castling kingside is a lot safer. So imagine that nothing was here except for the rooks. That would mean the rooks are connected when they can see each other. People pizza, indeed. Good. Good. I will say though, Yuso, if you do ever castle queenside, in order to make it as safe as castling kingside, very important move with either color is put your king on these squares. King b1 and b8 is an important move. Sometime in a game where you have played long castle. Anyway, we don't do that here. This is a very common opening. And we're controlling the center, right? We got our pawns in the center, and we're developing pieces, okay? So I'm just gonna put pieces out here. This is a very common opening, right? And another thing, this is not an opening principle, but it's something to keep in mind. If black had played this move, it's a very good move. It supports your center. You got this pawn chain going. That's fantastic. The bishop can't go through that pawn, right? So if you want the bishop to get over here, in this area, you have to get the bishop out before you play this move, if you're going to play this move. Well, let's just go with this move, right? And we'll continue putting our minor pieces out. Look at us go. Everyone's got their minor pieces out. And you'll notice I can castle. So I'm going to do that. You really want to castle as soon as possible. So actually, before I brought this knight out, well, no, that's not true. Never mind. Ignore what I said. I want to castle as early as possible. Kingside, if possible. And yeah, we're just going to continue developing, right? We're going to move this pawn so we can get this bishop out. Black can do the same. Why not? This is not a good line at all, but that's beside the point, right? I'm just showing you, we want to get all of our pieces out. Look, we've gotten all of our minor pieces out. We've controlled the center with our minor pieces, and we have we've castled. Okay. So I'm going to show you, ignore the position. I'm just showing the moves right now. What we want to do next, okay? Once you've castled, very, very, very important move to make sure that you don't get back rank mated, which is pretend these three pieces aren't here and this piece isn't here. If black could just put their queen right here, white would be checkmated. That would be checkmate, right? That's called back rank mate, is when you have a queen or a rook on the back rank and the king has nowhere to go to get around it and no one can block, etc. That happens a lot in lower level games and even in my games. So a very important move to avoid that is h3 or h6 from the black side. That is very important. Play that every single game. You do that a lot. Great. Unless you mean back rank mate, in which case, hopefully you're saying that you deliver back rank mate. Oh, okay. Okay. So ignoring the fucking 50 hanging pieces on the board. The last thing I want to do for my development, that's two things I want to do. Connect the rooks, like I said. Okay. Now the rooks can see each other. And I also want to either put my rooks on open files or centralize them. Okay? Because we love controlling the center in early and middle game. So if I just put my rooks here, I'm happy. That's fine. That is completely fine, right? If okay, let me take two steps back. One, the rows on the board are called ranks for reasons unknown to me. And they're numbered 1 through 8. And the the columns are called files. And they are lettered A through H. Okay. So that's very good to know what people are talking about. Those are good words to know. Okay. So now when I say open file, when I say open file, that means the rook can see all the way to the other side of the board. There's no pawn in front of it, right? And if this pawn was not here, this would be an open file. It would actually be an open file both ways. But when there's a pawn of the opposite color, of your opponent's color on the file, we actually call it a half open file, right? Because a lot of the times the pawn can be like this, and the rook can't really go, so it's not really an open file. Call it a half open file. But it's still very good that a white pawn's not in the way of the rook. These songs are fucking driving me crazy. What the fuck? What the fuck are these songs? These songs are terrible, dude. They're so bad. They're just grinding on my ears. Holy shit. I just wanted I just wanted lo-fi. That was not lo-fi. That was like creepy-fi. Okay. So rooks love to be on open files. Yeah, Christmas lo-fi. Love to be on open files. But if there's no open files, we really like to control the center. So, okay. These are our goals in the opening, right? Control the center, put pawns in the center, develop your minor pieces, castle as soon as possible. Those are our goals. Okay. We want to play h3 and h6. We want to connect our rooks. Okay. And very long term, find a good file to put your rooks on. Okay. That's all. Those are our goals in the opening. Now, gaming. Exactly. Would you like to play games, Yuso? And I could look at them, or even I could just analyze games that you've already played. We do that. I could play games and commentate while I'm going. I could do tactics and just talk about it. fine. If you mean the name, I don't even know what it means, so. Um, gotcha. Yeah, happens. Did I spell it wrong? No, I spelled it right. Right? Do you have like a private account or something? I've never seen someone. Oh, it's in friends. Top players. Top player named that. Maybe it is spelled wrong. Oh, you have to be online to show up here. How do I just search a player on chess.com? I've never understood this. Like literally, how do I just like just find a player? Search. Whoa. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Res mommy. Oh, I didn't want to challenge. No, 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 no. Go back. There we go. I did it. Okay. Add friend. That's what I wanted. You do have Gres mommy. Okay. Ooh, ow. I just fucking stomped the ground. Sorry to my downstairs neighbor. Okay, let's look at this one. I like your crown. Okay, sounds good. Okay. Looking from Yuso's perspective. Do you do this game review, Yuso? Do you do this? Do you click start review and look through it? I would recommend it, if not. It's really good. It's really good. I'd do that as often as you can. And Lichess has the same thing. Um, Lichess has the same thing. After your game, if you over here, go to analysis board on Lichess, and you scroll down and request a computer analysis. You can do the same thing once it arrives. It's got, you can't see it. Hold on, let me go to this one. Right here, it says learn from your mistakes down here. And it does the same thing as the chess.com thing. All right. So, it just says the same thing. Highly recommend it on both sites, for sure. I'm not going to use that, though. No, what does that even mean? Oh, you guys can't see that anyways. Okay, cool. Good. I don't want to show all the engine stuff. Okay. Claude starts with d4. Okay. Good move. D4 is fine. I play d5 as well. I would definitely recommend it. Got resigned. No worries. We don't have to end in checkmate to analyze our games. Okay. So, first, you'll notice in my opening principles that I mentioned, I never said bring the queen out in the opening. It's because you should absolutely not do that. Okay? Don't move your queen. Just don't even touch it until you've accomplished the goals that I outlined. control the center, develop your minor pieces, and castle. Just leave her where she is. She's fine. She's enjoying the view from D1 or D8. She's hanging out. Okay. And the reason for that, if I tell you these things and you listen to them, fine, you'll do well. But it's much better to know the reason why I said that. And the reason is you can very easily attack the queen when it comes out in the opening, right? So if I were to play something like this, now I'm developing my bishop and my other bishop with tempo on the queen, right? So basically, otherwise, what the fuck is this? Get out of here. I did not ask. I did not ask for engine analysis. Can you fuck off? Just turn off. Off. What the fuck, dude? Go away. No! What the fuck is this? Okay, Jesus. I have every option off and it's still showing the fucking arrow. Can you not? So, if the queen wasn't here and I played this move, right? My opponent continues. And I've used a move. This is called a tempo, by the way. Every move is a tempo, right? So, I developed this bishop, and I'm attacking the queen, and they have to move the queen. They have to move the queen, or they have to block somehow, but that doesn't work either. So, I've developed with tempo on the queen. We say the word tempo a lot of different ways, right? When we say developing with tempo, or making a move with tempo, that means you make that move and your opponent has to do something, which is just kind of giving you time. Giving you moves, right? But it also means just, your move. You're using one tempo to make one move, usually, right? So I'm developing with tempo, and that's fantastic. Because the opening's kind of like a race, Who can control the center first? Who can, get castled first? Create threats first, The more pieces you have developed, if your opponent's underdeveloped and you have a bunch of developed pieces, you're in a great place to attack now. And you're probably going to have a successful attack if your opponent has one developed piece and you fully developed, something like that. That's why it's so important when you've activated your pieces. Okay. So that's why you don't want to bring the queen out in the opening. Or put pieces in stupid spots in the opening. Because if you do that, your opponent's going to develop with tempo. Okay. Back to the game. Played knight c6. That's a fine move. That's a fine move. Can we not have the fucking... Holy shit, dude. Go away! How can I turn that off? I have everything off. Zero lines. I don't want any lines, dude. No, don't show anything. Holy shit, dude. I'm losing my mind. God, I hate chess.com. Lee Chess, if I turn the engine off, it turns off, and that's it. Anyways, now that I'm thoroughly angry, you're fine. I mean, they have the domain. They have the domain. So, it's going to be what it's going to be. So when your opponent plays d4, a lot of times the structures that you get, they look very similar, right? And you can kind of get tricked into thinking that it's always going to be the same game, and that's not entirely true. And I'll show you one of my games with d4, d5, and I'll show you the kind of thing that I usually want to go for. Um, is the balance okay with me and the music, by the way? Do I need to like turn the music down? Can you hear the music? Said you could hear it earlier, but it just got like super loud for me, so I just want to make sure it's all right with y'all. Sounds good? Okay, good. So, really depends on what white does, what your structure is going to be. A lot of times, white here will play this move, and this is called the Queen's Gambit. Okay, and if you take here, that's the Queen's Gambit accepted. If you don't take, you play something like this. It's called the Queen's Gambit declined. Okay, I always decline the Queen's Gambit personally, but okay. Back to the game. They played Queen D3, which is scuffed as fuck. I struggle to really even see what their goal is with this move. Um, because it doesn't even like threaten anything, right? Because like look, it's looking at this pawn, and that's it as far as things it's attacking. And when you look at where it can go, right? None of that's really threatening all that much. And in fact, these squares are very well covered with the bishops if we move that pawn. So, not a very strong queen on d3. Would not recommend that move. But, okay. How are we going to react to it? Knight c6 was fine. It was developing. Perfect. I have no complaint. The only thing about putting knights on these squares, and it varies by opening whether you care about this or not. Because putting knights on these squares is really great. They control all 4 center squares. Awesome. But when you put a knight in front of a pawn, the pawn can't go forwards. So in these positions, I really like to put my pawn on c5 there. But that depends on the opening, and it's, that's not how everyone likes to play also. So this is a completely fine move. Developing, doesn't matter. Anyways, I'd want to get this bishop out soon as well. But the queen here actually kind of makes it difficult, because where I'd love to put this bishop is on f5. Obviously, that's covered. So the idea I did earlier, it's pretty good, actually. Putting the pawn there, supporting the bishop, so I can put the bishop here, right? With tempo on the queen even. And then the next move, I can put my my dark square bishop on g7. When you put your bishop right here, any of these moves, the act of doing that is called Fiancadoing your bishop. Fiancadoing. Okay. And that's good, because putting your bishops there, let's look at this bishop, because that's what I was talking about in the example. From this square, it controls the longest diagonal possible for a bishop of that color, right? The dark square bishop, this is the longest dark diagonal. These ones are 1 square shorter than this one. Okay. So that's fantastic. You love having your bishop there. They control more squares in the center of the board, right? Because we're kind of looking 4 ways instead of, 1 pretty much. So they do control more squares in the center, but they also can kind of get kicked around in the center, especially by pawns. So these are really good squares for your bishops. They're very good squares. So that's called Fiancadoing. So in this position, I would probably actually go for that right away. Here, put this back where it fucking belongs, and then I go here, you know? And this is great because now I got these really strong bishops. They're not looking at the king side, so my opponent's probably going to cast the king side and be safe over here, but that's still a lot of pressure on the queen side. Can win some material. So back to the game. But this is a good move too. Like I said, just developing. So that's what we're trying to do. Control the center, develop. I'm spending a lot of time in the beginning of this game, sorry. Okay. So your opponent's pawn is protected by the queen, and so is ours. Okay. This move really accomplished nothing. It really. Please don't play that move. So okay, these pawns are both attacked once and defended once, but they're defended by the second worst defender on the board. Okay. Your king's the worst defender because if a piece is attacked more than once and it gets taken, your king can't take it, right? You know? A king can't move into check, so that's awful, right? And the queen is the most valuable piece on the board, other than the king. So your queen's a really bad defender too, you know? If it's the same situation, you can't lose your queen. You can't, unless you're trading queens. If you lose your queen, you're not trading queens, you're going to be in bad shape. Okay, so yes, the queen is defending these pawns, but if there were a long exchange, say, for example, these moves get played. Okay, and, well, okay, no, never mind. Let's just look at this pawn, okay? Let's look at the d4 pawn. Say we go like this, okay, and they choose to defend it. Okay. You always want to take with the least valuable piece first. And you want to take with the most valuable piece last. So that you have the most valuable piece at the end of all these exchanges, right? So, okay. Let's count attackers and defenders on this pawn. There's 2 attackers and 2 defenders. So actually, let me not make this move. Let's go here. Now there's 2 attackers and 1 defender. If I... Never mind. 2 attackers, 2 defenders. When I take with this pawn, you have to take with the pawn if you're going to take this pawn back. Because if you take with the queen, right, even though at the end you were the last one to take, you lost your queen. You lost material. So you always want to take with the least valuable piece first, so that at the end you have your most valuable piece left. Okay. So hopefully not offending anybody with these lines. I am just illustrating. Is this the game? Did you actually play this? Knight takes e5. Wait, you did? That's funny. Go Yuso. Okay. And that's a fine move. You are attacking the center, right? 1 defender, and there are now 2 attackers, right? So, taking is definitely an option. When they take like this, that uncorks a discovered attack on the d5 pawn. So actually, when they do this, and it looks like they did in the game, now you'd like to take back, right? This pawn was defended, and so you said, okay, I can play e5. But this tactic of a discovered attack, you're actually losing a pawn at the end of that, right? Because now if you take here, which is what happened in the game, your opponent played a weird intermezzo for no reason. Your opponent played a really bad move, actually. So your opponent played queen b5 check. And the queen that you are, Yuso, you found the correct move, which is c6, defending the pawn and winning a tempo on the queen, right? So now, if knight takes, you're not going to take the knight. Okay, first of all, knight takes. Can you take the knight? No, you can't take the knight. This is not a legal move. They won't let me do it because it's your pawn is pinned to the king. Your pawn's pinned to the king. First of all. Second of all, okay, so this square was defended twice and they attacked it. Okay, so a good instinct would be to take back. That is perfectly fine. If you took in the game between 2-300s, if that line happened and I was like your coach, I would not be upset about that. You won a piece. Your opponent blundered and you took the piece. Go Yuso. You're up a piece, right? However, it's good to, keep your eyes open and realize you can take the queen in this position. That's much better. It's much, much better. Okay. Now you're up a queen. Anyways. Okay. Whoop. Back to this position, though. Your opponent should not have played queen b5 check. As I said, that was a very bad move. What they should have done is take this pawn, because this pawn's hanging. Because of that discovered attack when they took on d5, or on e5, excuse me. Okay. And you're just losing the pawn. So, that doesn't matter. Okay. I almost just lied to you straight up. I was going to say it doesn't matter which way they take the pawn. But the knight's attacking their queen. Okay. So, the only move that's good for your opponent here is to take with the queen. Okay. Attacking your knight, which is hanging with check. Attacking your queen, which could only be taken back with the king, which would lose you your right to castle. Right? You can only castle if your king and the rook that you're castling with have both not moved. There's nothing between them. And none of the squares that the king passes through, including the one that it's starting on, none of those squares are attacked. Those are the rules for castling. If you can't castle, it's because one of those rules is broken. Okay, so Black has a few moves here. I would definitely take, but I am a low-level player. You don't have to take this queen. You don't have to take it. All you have to do is defend this knight. That's it. Okay? Now, if we were to defend the knight like this, for example, you do have to be careful, though. Because if they made a move like this, now the knight's pinned to your king. And let's pretend for a second that we cannot attack this queen in any way. Well, we don't have to. It's pretend it's true, actually. We actually can't attack this queen in any way. Okay. It's reality. So we make some other move, which continues to leave this knight pinned. Then they can play this move, right? So the knight cannot move. Nothing can defend a knight against a pawn, because the pawn is the least valuable thing, right? Now this knight is dead. There's no way to save this knight. You have to make some other intermediate move, basically. So that's a pattern to look out for. If your pieces are pinned to the king or even the queen most of the time, and a pawn attacks them, they're dead. Unless you can find an in-between move which works out of it, or trades or something. So just teaching patterns there. All right, back to the game. Yeah, they played this. Not taking the pawn. That was hung. Okay. I don't hate e5 when you played it, by the way. Um, that's a tactic. It is a tactic, and you're not gonna see tactics other than by experience or by really closely analyzing, right? So do tactics, that's a tactic that you missed in a rapid game, so okay. You need to do more tactics, but you've just started out. It's fine. Just do tactics, you know? Do puzzles. That's all. So, and you'll learn those patterns, and you'll know them. Chess is a lot of memorization, but it's not always memorization of openings and moves. That's not the kind of memorization that matters at a lower level. It's pattern recognition and memorization. That's important at low levels. Okay. Played this. Your opponent went back. Yeah, I mean, got to make something move, right? Can't hang the queen. So, it's a good song, but I don't really want to listen to it right now. Oh, I love this band. They're so good. I'm not feeling this playlist actually. Hold up. We gotta we gotta switch it up. It's just too distracting. I just want something chill. Can we just like get some lo-fi beats is poisoned. I can't do that. So what am I supposed to play here? What am I supposed to play? I just want something to hang out to. Indie mix? No. I'll play some Sam Smith. No, I'll play Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's not distracting. Like generic pop for the most part. It's perfect. It's perfect. All right. I'm actually just going to take these off. That's the best idea here. There we go. I don't have to worry about it at all. And I can let my ears breathe. I found the move. Go me. Okay. Coffee. All right. What did you do next? Good. Perfect. Develop. Develop your pieces. I have no complaint with that. That is. Whoa! 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 Coming out here with F4. Okay. So, another very important lesson. And you may have heard this before. There's actually a book titled this by Sam Shankland, a prominent U.S. grandmaster. Pawns don't move backwards. Okay. Yeah, of course they don't. Why do you mention it? So when you make a move like F4, you're leaving behind all the squares that this pawn could have covered before it moved forward. Okay. I'm gonna go and move back. Okay, this F pawn is covering these two squares. Yeah. And let's pretend for a minute that I played F3. Okay, we're looking at these two squares now. But when we go F4, we can never protect these squares with this pawn again. They're left behind. Okay? These squares are weakened now permanently by the absence of the F pawn. Okay, so especially on the king side, especially in the opening, we don't like to weaken the king side. We don't like to move these pawns really much at all. I don't recommend moving these pawns until you're castled, and even then, until the end game, I only recommend h3. Okay. Um, start there with that advice. So, okay, f4. Knight's hanging. Okay. So, move the knight. Very logical response, and you needed to move it. Um, Another move. I'm not saying it's a good move, but another move. It actually, this is not a good move, but I'm just wanting to display the term. Um, let's say that you played d4 instead, attacking this knight, right? If they take your knight, you'll take this knight. Obviously, this kind of doesn't work because then on the next move they can also take this knight. But pretend that this knight's not there, okay? It would just be a trade. Sure. That's called an in-between move, right? Something of yours is hanging or some threat exists. And you can play this move and kind of delay the threat by one move, right? It's called an in-between move. In Italian, that's called an intermezzo. And in German, that's called a Zwischenzug. And unfortunately, all three of those terms are popularly used by people of every language, and you need to know all three of them. Okay. In between move, intermezzo, Zwischenzug. Okay. Glad that we got that out of the way. And that's an important concept. It is. Other kinds of intermezzos, for example, are a check, right? If white attacked your piece like this, and you were able to give a check, you can't in this position, but pretend that you could. Actually, you can, but it's with the piece that's attacked, so that's not a perfect example. If you give a check, they can't take your piece the next move. They have to get out a check. You know, that's the rules. That's not optional. uh, that's another example of an intermezzo. Okay. So what happened next is you moved your knight here, and I do not like this move all that much because you're leaving it where it can be attacked again by some pawns, right? It's protected by a piece, so if a piece were to attack it, no piece is going to attack it right now, but if a piece were to attack it, you don't really care, right? Okay, we're going to trade, right? If this guy could take this on this move, right, you'd just take back, and that's a trade. That's fine. But if a pawn can attack it, then you're unhappy, right? And that brings me to another concept, which is loading pieces. I know that knight's taken a journey from G1 to G4 in one move. That's a crazy knight. That knight straightened out the L instead of two forward and one of the sides, just going three forward. There are shogi pieces that move like that. The Japanese version of chess. Okay, so when we look at the fourth and fifth ranks, a lot of the time you'll have, if you have pieces on these ranks and they're not defended, it's very easy for them to be attacked or to be won with tactics, actually. So, or forgotten even by you, right? Like, you just forget this guy's here eventually, and someday this bishop's going to be here and it's just going to take it. And you're going to be like, what? Okay, so floating pieces are not very favorable. But, you know, like I said, this guy's defended very well. The only thing it can be attacked by is a pawn. Now, granted, if I'm white here, I'm definitely playing h3 because eventually I'm going to play it anyways if I cast the king side, right? to create luft for my king. Oh, um, pretend white's castled and they play this move and this is not here. When you're pushing a pawn in front of your king to, not get back rank mated, you're making space for your king. And frequently in chess, we say we're making Luft for our king, which is synonymous to space in German. Auf Deutsch. Okay. Lots of German words in chess. Making Luft. So I'm playing h3 here as white, for sure. And that's what happens in the game. And now you have to move this again. So, going back to this position, I would probably move the knight back somewhere. I wouldn't move it forward like that. Or I could even move it here, right? No pawns can attack this knight. It's impervious to pawn attacks. If they played here, for example, then it would be attacked by a bishop. And if the bishop took it and you took back with the pawn, this pawn's hanging now, so you'd lose the pawn. But okay, so like I said, I would move it back. These are both not entirely ideal squares for the pawn or for the knight, right? Because we want the knights either in the center or attacking the center. The center is these four squares, right? And for a knight to be attacking the center, it has to be somewhere in this box. Actually, not even on these four squares. It has to be on this kind of ring, yeah, to be attacking the center at all. So we'd prefer that it's on this ring. Okay, these two squares are not on that ring, but they control some squares in the center, technically. These guys, so it's okay. Hey, bro, chess is going well. I gave opening principles lesson to start, and now we're looking at one of Yuso's games. Yes, knight on the edge is very bad because then, for example, here, it's looking at these squares, and it's not doing all that much. Okay, so I would probably play this move. The reason for that being I want to keep these bishops open. Ooh, that's a bad one. I want to let the bishops come out. I don't want to block any in. If I played here, this bishop wouldn't be able to go out this way. This knight can move eventually, or the bishop could come out this way, right? But just if you're asking me the move I would play knight to g6. Okay. But okay, you play knight g4 and they play h3 like I said, and then you go back. All right, so knight on the edge, like we said, not the best. But that was your only move, not to hang the knight. So. Oh, also, yeah, another thing was that this move actually attacks the pawn. It is defended once, but you're adding pressure to it. Anyways, okay, we're here now. Okay. All right. So this is not a good move because they just willingly put their knight on the edge. I can only assume that he's trying to get his knight over to this square in the center. But that's covered by your bishop at the moment, so that's just a bad move. I won't comment on your opponent's bad moves. Okay, we'll be here all day if I comment on your opponent's bad moves by the looks of it. Okay, bishop, very good, developing, and putting pressure on the b2 square. But what's wrong with this move? I'll give a second. Anybody can answer this. What's unfortunate about this move? I don't know is an okay answer. Because I'll tell you. And I'll show you no matter what people answer, but People Shakes probably, and I don't know. But I'll give you a little bit to think about it. And I will say, what was What was this bishop doing on c8? What was it doing? You're dying, just tell. Okay. This bishop was defending this pawn, right? So now, moving the bishop away, this pawn's actually attacked. So that's hanging, and that's a pretty safe pawn to take, because you can get out. The queen's slippery, you know? Yeah. So, that's all. And the reason that I bring it up and make such a big deal out of it is that that's a very, very, very common pattern. That happens all the time. It happens to me still. Okay. Um, you have to remember that your bishop's guarding this pawn. If we go back to the starting position, you look, all of these pawns are guarded. They're all protected. Okay? This one's protected like this. This one's protected like this. This one's protected by the king. This one's protected 3 times. This one's protected 4 times. I miscounted. This is also protected 4 times. This one's protected by the queen. This one's protected by the bishop. And this one's protected by the rook. Okay? So all the pawns are protected, but you'll notice these ones are only protected once. Whereas the rest are protected. Sorry, these ones are only protected once. The middle ones are very well protected, but the rest you have to be mindful. If you move their protector, they'll be undefended. Unless there's another thing protecting them at that point in time. Okay, so whoops, nope. No peeking. Okay, so you hung the pawn. Opponent didn't take it. No worries. If they did take it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But if you imagine that your knight was still on b8 and the opponent took, now your rook's hanging, right? Unless you move the knight. Because it's not defended by the queen, because the knight's there. So that's another very common pattern. And that's going to lose you a lot of games at a low level, I can promise you that. Or win you a lot of games. If you remember what I just said, and you don't let it happen to you, it's going to win you a lot of games. And not lose you a lot of games. So, okay. Didn't take, no worries. And they actually... this is check. Okay. This is check. I missed that it was check. They did undefend this pawn, though, with this move. Okay, so now if I see this move, and I'm black, I'm waiting to grab this pawn. Your primary objective should not be grabbing pawns. Because in the end, especially below like 1000 on Chess.com, the game's going to be decided by hung pieces, not by hung pawns. Okay, so even going into an endgame like up 3 pawns, that's not always decisive. That's not always decisive in my games, even depending on the time control. So, okay, but it's check, so you can't take that pawn yet. Blocking check, nice. And that knight there on e4 cannot be pestered by pawns, right? We talked about that. Look at f4 is coming back to bite your opponent, right? It left this square behind, and the d-pawn is gone. So this knight can never be attacked by a pawn. And this is another... I'm dumping the terminology on you right now. I'm so sorry. But hopefully you'll remember some of it. This knight, when it cannot be attacked by a pawn ever on that square and it's protected by a pawn, that's called an outpost. Okay, that's another key term. You could never touch that knight again this entire game, and the only thing that could take it is another knight, but that's just a trade because you take back with the pawn. Well, another knight or a bishop, right? But that's just a trade. You don't lose material by that. Okay? So that's an outpost. And that I don't believe people use other words for. I'm sure there are words in other languages, but I've not heard them all that much. So there you go. Give that one to you for free. English, one word. Okay. So you blocked the check with the knight. You also blocked your bishop from seeing this pawn. Okay. So I probably would not have chosen that move, but having an outpost is very, very good. Very good. What would I have done? Okay. So remember how I talked about the opening being a race, right? You want to get developed as fast as possible, faster than your opponent, etc. Okay. So one of the concepts with that is that you don't want to move the same piece over and over again, right? If you're moving one knight 3 times, then you're taking the one move that it took to develop it, and then you're taking another 2 moves where you could have developed 2 more pieces in those moves, right? So that's bad. You don't want to move one piece multiple times in the opening. So you're taking this knight, which you've already moved, and you're putting it here now, which, it's great. It's got an outpost. You're blocking the check. I mean, you got to do something to block the check. So this is a good move on the surface, but not really in this position, I'd say, right? I would develop another piece to block the check, probably with this move. I think I would play there. Bishop e7. Connecting, my king and my rook and getting ready to castle. Another move that's very possible is queen e7, offering a queen trade. Notice how both of the queens are, defended, right? So neither of them are hanging. And in this position, really, neither side should take the opponent's queen, because if they do, that's giving your opponent a move to develop. You're developing for free. Here, white spent a move to take the queen, and black says, okay, I'll take that move. And now I've developed one more piece. I've developed all my minor pieces, and I'm ready to castle, right? That would be great for black. If black could play queen e7, knowing that white would take, black would play it every game. But white shouldn't take, right? And in this position, white should do something else, develop. Play like here so you can Fiancado. Right, okay. So, but I think this is the best move. But in the game we played this, which, like I said, good and bad for different reasons. Your opponent develops their knight. I like that move a lot. Developing a bishop with check. So I like that it's with check. Oh, their knight was hanging. No, it wasn't. Never mind. I like that this move is with check, because that's a tempo, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. But the only thing is that they could play c3 here and block the check and even win a tempo back by attacking your bishop, which they do. Another move here would be knight. Woo, knight c3. It'd be a great move because this knight's doing fuck all on the side of the board. And then another move could be bishop d2 or knight d2. These are all good moves. I mean, probably, honestly, this is the worst move, c3. But the redeeming factor of the move is that it wins a tempo on the bishop. But if you put a pawn on c3, you can't put any other pieces on c3, and that's a really good square. And for that reason, I would play knight c3. I'd get this knight off the fucking back rank, or not the back rank, but the edge of the board. That's what I would prefer in this position, or this, to develop a piece. Okay. They played c3, which is a fine move, but definitely not the best move by far in the position. Castles, I love it. Perfect. Absolutely love that. And now that knight's unpinned. Wait, what the fuck am I talking about? I don't love castles because it hangs a bishop. Don't love it because it hangs a bishop. They take the bishop. Okay. Um, good move by your opponent. In concept, I loved castling, right? Okay, but all right. So you saw your knight is no longer pinned. Assuming you saw the pin in the first place. Great. And we are attacking the rook, right? Um, you're actually forking the rook and the bishop. Okay, they're both protected. That's not true. The rook's not protected, but the rook can move. Okay, bishop's protected by the rook and by the king. Okay, but if they move the rook, they can't castle on that side. So I really like knight g3 because they can't take it. You're threatening to win the exchange. Remember I said that earlier. Trading your knight for their rook, and actually you would just be winning a rook. Um, but if your knight's ever on h1 as black, you can kind of assume that they're gonna take it back eventually. You know, it's very tough to dig it out of h1, but it's possible. It's possible. Okay, they move the rook. Good. Yeah, I probably would have played that move too, because now the rook's defended by the knight on f3. Rook g1 was also an option. So now they can't castle king side. They have to castle queen side, if at all. I'm assuming they just don't castle in this game. I probably wouldn't castle. Yeah, it looks like they don't. Because there's not much safety on the queen side either. They've moved their pawns so much, so their pawn structure is very weak. And your pawn structure, on the other hand, Yuso, is fantastic. Your pawns are very healthy. There's no pawn islands. Your pawns all have neighbors. Okay. Your pawns are supporting each other. Your pawns are close to your king, protecting it. Just need to make some room here for the king so you don't get back ranked. But other than that, looking good. Your development is way ahead of your opponent. Both of you have these silly knights on the edge, on the rim, but hopefully they'll make it back to civilization sometime. And, you've got all your major pieces connected on the back rank. Hopefully you move the queen off soon. It is stuck. This knight can't go to any squares other than g4, which is protected by a pawn, right? So, the easiest way to get this knight out would be to play bishop back in here. Another idea, it does two things in one, is here, f6, because now you're creating luft and you're creating a square for the knight. However, f6 and f3 are not really great moves when you're castle kingside, because when you're here, this whole diagonal is open, right? You can get some checks or some even scarier threats. So I would move the bishop and get the knight in that way. But anyways, what happened in the game? Took the bishop. Okay, so now they take back with the king, I assume, and now they can never castle, and that's good for you, right? The king is a bit unsafe. This rook is just very silly where it is right now. Now that the king is in the way on the back rank, right? It can't reroute this way. The king's in the way now. Okay. This looks very good for you, except for the fact that you're down a piece. Okay. And that brings me to 2 points. Number 1, when you're down material, you don't want to trade, because the more pieces that are on the board, the less you feel the fact that you're down material, and also the more complex the game can be, and you can maybe win material back. If the position's complex, then it's easier to blunder. It's easier to miss tactics, stuff like that. So you do want to keep material on the board when you're down material. Secondly, when your opponent is not able to castle, or just if the king's unsafe in any way, you also want to keep material on the board, because then you have more things to attack it with, right? If you're attacking, you don't want to trade as much. So when their opponent's king is very vulnerable, you want to be attacking, hopefully, and then you don't want to trade pieces. Um, there's some sacrificing ideas at a high level, but you don't want to think about that right now. Definitely not. Okay, I like this move. Getting your rook to an open file, and it's in the center, and you're winning a tempo on the queen. Perfect. You can't take this; it's protected. Awesome. Awesome. It's a great move. Um, without having moved any of these pawns, this is a little bit of a scary move sometimes. Right now, it's fine. It's very safe right now. But having this rook here also prevents you from getting back rank mated. Because unless they can get many, pieces on the back rank, unless they can get both rooks and a queen on your back rank, uh, if they take right here, they're not going to checkmate you because they can't. Yeah, incredible route. But in this position, this is perfectly fine. This is very good. Um, very good move. Winning a tempo on the queen, developing your rook further. Great. Okay, put the queen back on b3 like it was earlier. The stupid fucking queen. How many moves has your opponent moved their queen this game? Let me count. One. Let me walk through the game actually. That's a better way to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we haven't gotten this far. 5 moves already, and it's move 16. That's terrible, and that's why you don't bring your queen out in the opening. 5 moves out of the first 16 moves. That's almost a third of the moves. They're not developing other pieces. They still have this stupid bishop, this stupid rook, this stupid rook. Exactly, Gav. Hello. Good to see you. um, but you don't want to. You really don't want to do that. um, so yeah. Hey, I can teach everybody, Yuso. Leave Gav alone. Gav's welcome. Okay? So let's look at what we want to do in this position. Let's think about the objectives that I talked about. Opening principles. Control the center with your pawns and with your minor pieces. Develop your minor pieces. Check and check. This knight's a little stupid on h6, but it's technically not on its starting square. Sure. That knight's taken quite a journey, actually, from b8. Castle, check. We have one of our rooks on an open file. Fantastic. So what haven't we done? We have not connected our rooks, and we've not created space for our king. Created Luft for our king. So, what would I play here? Maybe, um, bishop g6, like I talked about earlier. Getting this knight back in the game. Or maybe even something like bishop e4, threatening to double their pawns. Or maybe bishop e6, threatening a discovered attack on the queen. Sure. Lots of ideas. I think this bishop moving is probably the best thing, just to get the knight back in the game. Because I want to create Luft. I don't really want to move this pawn. This one can be good sometimes, but I really want to do this one in this game. When you are making an escape square for your king, making space, making Luft, you want that square of space that you make to be safe, right? So in this position, your opponent only has one bishop, and it's a dark square bishop. So when you make this free square for the king, you want it to be a light square, so the dark square bishop can't touch it. Okay, so that's why in this position, g6 would not be the move I choose to create space for my king. I would rather play h6 so that the square is a light square. Right. So I would probably do some maneuver like this to make space for my king. Okay. And I'd probably do that right away. So anyways, and after all those opening things are done, that's when we want to start pushing pawns, making pawn breaks, trying to like queen and or attack. Okay. So all right, b5, attacking the knight. It's kind of just like a one move threat, and you're giving him the tempo. You're losing a tempo by doing this move, right? And forcing him to move that knight. So you're basically you're giving your opponent a free turn to get this knight off the side of the board and improve it. So it's a weird move. Not my favorite move. And so knight c5. Looks fine to me. I probably would have played knight c3 back here. But that knight's really restricted by these pawns. So I can see knight c5. Maybe I like knight c5 better on second look here. And those are the only two moves. I mean, these squares are bad. So yeah, knight c5 looks pretty good. There's actually nothing that can really touch it. Yeah. So this is another outpost like I was talking about. Like your knight was on e4. This is an outpost for this knight. Another reason why playing b5 wasn't great, right? You're leaving these squares behind, like I was talking about earlier. Okay, a5. Very, very aggressive on the queen side today. All right, just looking to trade off this b4 pawn, I suppose. Removing the outpost from the knight. So there's something to be said for that. Like I said, though, I really want to get this knight better. I want to connect my rooks. Something like that. Eventually. There's a lot of one-move threats in this game. Okay, I hate the move g4. I really, really hate that move because this king is so vulnerable right now. So vulnerable. g4 improves this rook, right? It's easier for the rook to get out, but oh my gosh, like this king, queens are on the board, and look at all this free space around the king. That's very scary for white. I really don't like that for white. Okay. I definitely would not do this. This is a sacrifice, we'll call it, of the knight. Okay, for two pawns. So it's almost an even trade, right? If you think about what a knight's worth, 3 pawns. Taking 2 pawns for it. It was a really bad knight on the side of the board like this, right? And it's actually very close to being trapped. It's not actually going to be trapped. But if you can imagine a world where this, right, only has this square. Luckily it has this square. So I can really see what you're going for. I don't hate this move, really. I don't love it, but I don't hate it because not only is there all this space around the king, but now also its defenders, the pawns. They're not distant, they're gone. Okay? So now if you can get your queen in there somehow, or get your rooks, more activated, this is pretty scary. But again, right now already you're down a piece. So I said we don't really want to trade when we're down a piece, but sacrificing when we're down a piece, you'd better have a checkmate calculated already. If you're going to sack a piece, especially in a long game, you need to sit there and think for a long time. Is there a forcing line that leads to checkmate or winning this material back? Otherwise, it should not be played. And I notice that you're thinking in this game. It's move 18, and you've thought for a little over 7 minutes. out of your 30 minutes, which is good. I mean, if you're playing with, opening theory in mind, this is a good amount of time to have thought. I'm going to assume that you don't have that much opening theory, especially in this line that your opponent chose. So I would like to think for a bit longer in this early game. Um, not entirely focusing on it. I would not do that. If you're going to play long chess, definitely, I'd say sit here and think. But to each their own, I suppose. Yeah, Gav. I mean, uh, practicing openings is not the most important thing, really, at this level. I was telling you so earlier. It's more just about playing well, not blundering. You don't need to know theory for that. Wonderful, Yuso. Very good. Okay. Yes, pattern recognition. Exactly, Relp. We were talking about that earlier. These moves are fine. Move the rook. Oh, oh. Good thing. I'm not going to pretend like I saw this. Um, the rook is defended by the queen. I'm not sure what you're saying is a fork, Gav. Oh, yeah, here. I was looking at this as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was looking at knight b7, um, forking these two. And that just wins an exchange, like we were talking about earlier. Um, so here, it might be better to take with the queen. Um, but honestly, it's not all that important to be playing on the queen side at all right now. You've sacked a piece on the king side to crack open the king, so I think right now I'm thinking about how to uh, how to move forward with an attack. Unfortunately, this knight does a really good job of keeping the queen from coming in. You can't put anything here because it's very much controlled. Yeah, I struggle to see how to move forward with an attack. Um, but okay, we play on the queen side. We don't see the fork. This is still a fork, by the way. It didn't go away. And it doesn't go away. It's still there. It's still the best move, probably. Okay, we hang the major exchange, which is what we call the difference between a rook and a queen. Love it. Go Yuso, seeing that it's protected. Now we play knight b7, which is a one move threat against the queen, and nothing else. Okay. Um, a6 is not really a good square for the queen, I'd say. For a couple reasons. One, it's not really looking anywhere. It's kind of blocked in by the pawns. And another thing is, and this is a pattern to recognize, when you're one square diagonal from a knight like this, the knight can attack in one move, right? Squares where the knight cannot attack in one move are directly next to it but not diagonal, and two squares diagonal. Okay. Another square would be like that. Three squares ahead, I suppose. Is a square where it cannot be attacked in one move. And some of these squares that I listed can be attacked in two moves, but some of them you need, like, for example, the two squares diagonal, you literally need three moves to attack. If this knight wanted to attack this square, we'd have to go, like, here. Sorry, I'm stupid. Here and here. Three moves, and now it's attacking. So, just patterns. So I'd like to put the queen right next to the knight. I'd probably play here. And now the queen's looking in this way. It could drop back and attack the pawn or something. That's where I would put the queen. All right, and then they play, yeah, like I was saying. But now this knight is we're kind of X-raying through the knight, right? Like first of all, the knight's hanging. The knight needs to move or be protected. And I would protect it, by the way. Very much. Very much would do that. But if it moves, right, now we're looking in here with our queen. We got to set the semblance of an attack now, whereas before we did not. Yeah, it's another way to protect it. Tell me why that's bad. It's hanging. Okay. Go Yuso. Bringing the hurt on your opponent. You're ahead material now. Ahead by 3 points of material. So it's you have an equal number of pieces. Oh wait. No, you still have one fewer piece than your opponent. But you have a queen instead of a Oh, you have a queen and two pawns. That's it. That's it. Instead of rook and a minor piece. So, yep, yep. All right. Attacking your queen again, hanging another piece, which you did not take. Gotta watch that. But you did not hang a queen, which is good. Attacking your bishop. Do you see it now? Kind of. Gav, I do have to say these are 20 minutes, not 20 seconds on the clock. It's plenty of time to see a hanging piece. In one move at least. Oh, he's making fun of you. Never mind. I get it. So, funny enough, so this move is kind of inviting you to move the bishop, right? Um, but you actually you found another move, which was it may have been because you played this queen move, right? And you wanted to take the knight, and he didn't defend it, so you said, okay, I'm going to take it. That's possible. But the thing is, taking this knight with the queen actually also defends the bishop, so it's just as good as having taken with the bishop. All right, attacking the rook. I like that move. I like that move. Getting the king off the back rank and letting this rook come around. You still have not made any luft, so a lot of the times it's very easy to just react to your opponent's last move. But on moves like when you played b5, when you played a5, those aren't really forced moves. We got to be thinking about getting our king a little bit more safe before we play moves like that. All right, backed up, good. Your opponent's really bad at looking at where the queen moves, for sure. Okay, rook e1, takes a pawn, sure. We need to make luft. We are crushing here. We've got so many more pawns and so many, we've got the queen instead of a knight. All right, Rob, have a good day. Good afternoon to you, and I hope you have a good one. Yes, Gav, absolutely. Because when if a rook finds its way to your back rank, uh, it's too late, you know. Um, but okay, you're saying, okay, I'll just see a back rank threat, right, when it comes. That's easy to say, but it's hard to do. You get surprised a lot. You really do, especially even including my rating, at 1200, 1300. Very easy to miss things, for sure. Um, and so that's why I'm saying critical part of the opening, um, basically as soon as you castle, you need to make space for your king. So when I'm in a crushing position like this, and I have not created any space, I'm sweating, like looking at this. Yes, absolutely. Preventing. Thinking ahead of time is very important in chess. So I'm sweating, right? Because you worked for this whole game, you've got this great advantage. And in a couple moves, you might not even see it. Bang. Whoops. Bang. And the game is over. And you not only didn't win, but you lost. Like that's ooh, rough. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm sweating right now. Like I'm begging you to make room. Um, wait, is this where you resigned? Did your opponent resign here? It says game may have continued. I'm guessing this is where they resigned. But okay. These, yeah. But no. I'm hoping you did not sack your queen. Because while this is entirely winning and crushing in every way, um, never sack your queen. You're not allowed. Do not. This is the best move by far. Don't fucking do it. Please. Um, let's pretend this rook's not on the board. Right. And let's take like these two pawns off the board. I would take white in this position, actually. Even though black's up a pawn. In the end game, when there's the queens are off the board at a minimum, and maybe there's like one or two rooks, like in like two or less minor pieces, okay? Call it the end game. You want your king to be active. Your king is so useful in end games. So if material is roughly even here, pretend this isn't here, and drop a couple of pawns off the board. This king is doing nothing back here. This king is very passive. This king is somewhat active, right? If I'm white in this position, I'm going to hustle my king over and take these two pawns, and I'm going to make a queen on this side. Or even just take one of these pawns and make a queen. Or even not even do that and just march a pawn. So let's actually, here, let's do that. Here, let's say we just go here, okay? Or wait, not even, okay. Let's just look at it from this move. Ooh. White wants to make a queen, right? That's the purpose of this move. So if black takes, then this pawn can go. This is called a passed pawn. When no pawns can take it, right? None of your pawns can do anything about this pawn queening. That's called a passed pawn. Right. So that's the idea, right? So you can't take this. Yeah. But also if you don't take it, white's gonna move it forward. So you have to be very careful when your pawns are kind of hanging off the edge like this, because this can become a passed pawn very easily. Very easily. It's already promising to become one. So in this position, other than the rook hanging, here, let's take this like I was supposed to. Say I go here. With a rook on the board, you can take this. Absolutely. If you're a rook up, by the way, in an endgame, trade as much as fucking possible. As much as possible. Because you can checkmate with a rook and just a rook and your king. That's a win. You can checkmate like that. Okay. Something like that, and you just go like this. The pawn's dead. Dead in the water. Okay. Now let's look at a game where e4 was played. E3. It's such a bad move. I'm not going to look at this game. Do not play E3. It's fucking awful. Go Yuso. Look at this. 94.6% accuracy from Yuso. And 51.3% accuracy from the opponent. This is a 7-move game. All right, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Ready? All right. E5. Good move. I like that. If your opponent plays something passive, by the way, where they don't attack the center, just take the center. E5, E5, D5. Fucking, get your knights out. Get these moves. If you can get this setup every game, that's exactly what you want. Castles, h6, you know, you're so happy. Okay, you're so happy. No. No. Okay, so this guy's just playing for tricks. I've been hurt a lot of times with this opening. I really have. Um, it's dangerous, especially at low levels, right? I'm assuming this game lasted 7 moves because he hung his queen. Yep, yep, that's what happened. Do not play like this. Do not bring your queen out in the opening. We've been over that in detail. Anyways. Okay, so let's look at this. First of all, let's go from Yuso's perspective. Okay. So what are the threats here? The pawn on e5 is hanging, right, with check. The pawn on f7 is pinned to the king. You can't move it. And, you know, ideas like this, checkmate is lingering, right? That's the idea of bringing the queen out. Is you want to defend this pawn, but you also don't want to get checkmated. You can get hurt. You can really get hurt. What do I recommend in this position? I don't remember what I play in this position. I've been playing very little chess lately. I think I play here. I think I do this. Hello, Fick. Good morning, my friend. I'm pretty sure I play this because we want to control the center and develop our pieces, right? We can worry about this queen later. We don't want the queen to take this pawn with check. Okay, so we defend the pawn. And you think d6 is best. d6 is good. I like d6. It's very solid. Defending your pawn with the pawn is super, super solid, right? That time of year again? Christmas? That's true. Defending pawn with pawn is super solid. But again, like I said earlier, now this bishop can't go over there, right? I cannot draw a straight fucking line. Right, so that's the only reason I don't like playing d6 before my bishop gets out. But there can be other ideas with your bishop. But anyways, I would play here. And I usually just play this opening by ear. I will admit that I don't know this opening theory-wise. Geometry dash time. Isn't that all year? Or is it because you're on break? Okay. Oh, this is what you played? Go Yuso. Go Yuso. Okay. So kind of like proxy pinning to the king, right? There's a pawn there, so it's not actually pinned, but okay. Not a great move. That doesn't really accomplish much from White's perspective. This opening can be really sharp, and they made it not very sharp. Okay, so they kind of have no threats now. So I personally would probably I'd probably play d6 now, actually, after the bishop goes to b5, just so that I don't drop that pawn. That knight's a little perilous where it is right now with the bishop looking at it like that. So I would play d6 because okay, imagine I do something else. If takes takes, and the queen takes with check, right? Which we didn't want. Okay. And you played d6. Wonderful. Go Yuso. Knight f3. What is that? You're playing this opening, which is playing for tricks and playing for aggression, and they're just not being tricky or aggressive at all. So congratulations, Yuso's already won the opening. She's got plenty of threats coming soon. This looks great. This looks fantastic. Okay, sure. Tempo. You want to get rid of the pin, understandable. It's back, all right. Attacking the queen, like I said. That's a weird move. You'll notice also, oh my gosh, this is such a bad move. Putting this knight here plugs up the hole for the queen to go back behind the pawns to safety. It's such a bad move. Because now it's got to find a different way. Or just like kind of hide. Can't hide there. Tell you that. You know, this queen is so unsafe after knight f3. Oh my gosh. All right. And they hung the queen, and that was the end of the game. All right, cool. Anyways, I have a message on chess.com. Oh my gosh, me and Yuso are now friends. Queen sacrifice for space. Exactly. Ooh, ooh. Can I go back? Hello? Please? Thank you. Okay. Diamond Dave, not on my nice list. Here. This is the first loss we're looking at. Yuso doesn't lose often. This is a 25 move game where you resign. Never resign. Do not resign. Your opponent can hang a queen on any move. They're 457 rated. Do not resign. If you're looking to win games and if you're looking to improve. No. Fuck pride. Doesn't matter. All right, e4. e5. Wonderful. Knight f3. Love it. Knight f6. Okay, we have a Petrov. We have a Petrov. Can I get off of this fucking page? Okay. I actually play the Petrov as black. Fun fact. Probably hung a queen. I hope not. Let's see. I don't see very many queen moves, but the queen that's moving is yours. So, oh, both queens are moving. Fick, it's because she's a Korea boo. Don't worry about it. This is not the four knights, actually. This is the Petrovs played. This is the classical variation. I've seen this before. Fun fact: as black, I played this move, which can be tricky. It can be tricky, but not mainline. This is actually classical mainline. Very theoretical. I wouldn't play this way as black, but okay, sure. Developing, that's fine. That's a fine move. I would probably, as white here, either kick this knight out, move like d3, or claim the center with a move like d4. And that's what I would play as white here. I would play d4. Okay, but developing a bishop, that's perfectly fine. Black plays queen e7. Okay. So now you have two options. One, defend the knight. Two, move the knight. Okay. Couple ways to defend the knight or to move the knight. That is a high energy move. I like it. Okay. So, I actually would have taken there with the bishop. I like this. I like this Yuso because they can't take it. They take it with the queen, you take back, and you get the queen for two pieces. That's incredible. Or they don't move, and you take the rook, right? That's really good. Or they find a way to, defend the rook somehow, and Okay, you win an exchange. Wonderful. Okay, they move the rook. It probably didn't work out. This, while good, is pretty tenuous. It's pretty tenuous. Um, and I'll tell you why I would have taken with the bishop first and foremost. So this is check. Can't take with the queen, like I said. Illegal to take with the king. So they have to play here. And now they cannot castle. That's great for you. That's awesome for you, right? Okay, and then you can come in and maybe defend this bishop so you can move the knight. Something like that. Right? Okay, but I'd actually this is kind of a tough position. I'd defend the bishop like this, I think. Oh, well, the knight's hanging though. Okay, I'd defend the knight first. This is rough. Yeah, I don't really know what I'd do. Now, let me be clear. Putting the opponent's king in the center without the ability to castle is worth a piece. Would I recommend ever playing any sacrifices like that? No. But at a high level, this is worth a piece. Absolutely. No. No. It's a good geometry though, right? Seeing, knowing how queen moves. But unfortunately thwarted. That is a move I looked at earlier to see if it could work. But okay. I took with the knight. So right now we are up a pawn. We've ruined their ability to castle king side. They could still castle queen side eventually. And how are we going to get out of this? Okay, that's a bad move. It's a really bad move actually, because this hangs a queen. When they have the ability to move this knight with check, anything and everything that the knight could attack in two moves is hanging, actually. Right? So I hope they do it because it would be cool and instructive, but it looks like they don't. They don't. Okay. So they just move the knight back here with check, and now the knight's forking these two. The correct move for your opponent here is here or here. Probably here. If they go here, maybe you can take and all right. But they go here, it's check. And you either move your king and I take the queen. Right. You block with the bishop, I take your queen. Or you block with the queen. I take your queen. Okay. So, all right. So this move actually just not that okay, so it does encourage them to do something like this. But that's not the point. The point is that it doesn't prevent it. Actually, once you've done this, this tactic's already hanging. Once you've allowed them to move the knight with check, it's already hanging. They don't have to do anything about this rook. And this tactic actually is that's why I play Queen E7 in the Petrov. Because when I was at a lower rating like this, I'd get that all the time. I'd win the queen, or maybe they didn't hang their queen, but I'd win a piece or something with this discovered check. So this is something that's, first of all, thematic in the Petrov where you put the queen there. I believe that's the Damiano. Could be wrong. Or you can just recognize, like, okay, so this winning the queen is specific to this position, but in general, discovered checks are huge. They're devastating. Like they're worth trying to set up, in black's position here, trying to set this up to eventually have a double discovered check, and they feel so good. Exactly. So your queen's hanging in this position. But okay, that's not what got played. And this is actually, besides the fact that they're not taking a free queen, they're kind of offering an out and like a trading. I don't know. You do have to get out of this check first. So how would I get out of the check? Damn. I'd probably use my queen. I'd probably do this. Because now they still can't take this. Well, they can, but then I'd take with the bishop. They'd have to get castled. I don't know. It's not great, but all right. Block with your bishop. Letting go of the knight. That's fine. That's fine. That knight was dead. It's been dead for a while. So okay, no queens were taken. Queens were hung, but they were not taken. Losing the knight. And the thing is now, if you'd taken with the bishop earlier rather than the knight, they would not be able to castle at all. But your opponent can still castle queenside. I assume they do in this game. They don't. Okay, they should. They should. They have not, but they should. Okay, d4 now. Good. I'm castling, by the way, as soon as possible as white. I would castle before d4, but d4 is good. So I was talking about earlier. Claim the center. What the fuck is a5? Don't play a5 here. Do something. You have this piece advantage as black. Develop some pieces. Play knight c6. Play d5 to get that light squared bishop out. Castle. So that your king and queen aren't lined up like this. Because right now as white, if you castle, here, here, here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? When your king and queen are lined up like this, or like this is bad news. This position doesn't illustrate it, obviously, but don't line your king and queen up. At least try not to. Developing. I really want to castle here as white. I really want to castle. This is a good move. We're developing the knight, defending the bishop again on e2. That's good. Play a4. Oh, you have no reason to do this, Yuso. No reason. Let them push that. Let them push their a pawn. And if they push it to a3, then play that. Then play that, because they want their a file to open up so that this rook has a nice open file to look at. Because we want our rooks on open files. So if the rook can have an open file and not even have to move to do it, that's what they want. So I'll tell you what the good thing about this move is. This bishop can already develop this way, but now it could also develop here. Yeah? Okay. And if they took here, you can't take this way. Thank you to Alan Handsome for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. We are just doing some beginner game review with our good friend Yuso. Thank you for the follow. I hope you had a good stream. Yuso, could you shout them out for me, please? But okay. So notice some public humiliation. Quite. If they take here, you can't take this way because it hangs your rook, right? If you know, before this happened, you were able to play the bishop here, it would defend the rook in that line, right? And now you're okay. But it's lunchtime. Yes, enjoy. Enjoy. It is 7:11 a.m. where I am. I don't have the most conventional sleep schedule at the moment, unfortunately. But welcome in to everyone. So I hope you enjoyed your chess. Go to bed? Me? I mean, I woke up 12 hours ago. It's not bedtime yet. Who else? Yeah, I guess. Okay. Anyways, they do take here. So correctly, you take with a c pawn. Good. And we can still Fiancado our bishop. Yeah, we can still go to b2. That's good. We're looking okay. Other than that, you know, we're a piece down, but that's about it. Okay, they're finally developing this knight. Good for them. Finally castled. Good job, Yuso. These are moves that I've been begging for. What the fuck? Oh gosh. Okay. That's not a move I was begging for. Definitely not. Hanging a knight. Taking the knight. I'm looking for the tactic that wins something back here, but I'm not seeing it. Okay. I respect this move a lot, actually. Looking for this, obviously. That is brutal. That's brutal. Granted, you know, this move kind of gets out of it and defends the knight. Well, we'll see, Yuso. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. That's a bad move. Oh wait, no, it's not. No, you're attacking the queen. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say that's hanging an exchange here, but no, you're attacking the queen. Okay. It's an intermezzo. An intermezzo to this. Okay. So here you take the queen, surely. I guess taking the queen isn't even that great of a move, right? Oh, lots of things are hanging here. First of all, this is hanging. We've moved the two pieces that were defending it, the queen and the knight. Second of all, an exchange is hanging with this tactic, right? You can't take here because the rook takes back. If you take here, then this is also hanging, and the queen, and the exchange, because this is check. Oh boy, this isn't looking good. Yeah, I'd say this move was a big mistake, I think. Okay. And you took. Okay. Trying to execute with the intermezzo. And they take with check. Rough. And you block the check, which also hangs the bishop. Okay. So in this scenario, you want to definitely just sidestep the check. Okay. But all right, you blocked. And they did not take the free bishop, but instead took the exchange on a1, which is not a move I agree with by your opponent, but all right, it's, you know, the game's very much over at this point. You're two pieces down now. But that would hang the rook. Well, you hung a bishop instead. Oh, because this defends this rook. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So it's the difference of a full bishop versus a full rook, not a bishop and the exchange. Understandable. Okay, you're correct. You're right. Okay. Takes. And yeah, from this point forward, I mean you're just down a rook. Not two pieces, just down a rook. So not resignable, especially not at this level. Notice though, we are on move 17, and both of you have not taken much time at all. You know, there have been a lot of things missed by both sides, right? Okay, so we just want to spend some more time thinking if we're playing 30-minute games. All right. Yep. So what should Yuso's plan here be? I'd probably start activating the king. I would. That's a good way to lose games, Yuso, for sure. Chess is not a distracted game. So hopefully we're not trading from this point forward, right? Because we're down a rook. We want to keep all this material on the board, and we want to activate our king and coordinate our pieces well to, hang on to what we have and hopefully win some more, right? We're down a full rook. We're gonna have to win with a tactic or a trick or just our opponent hanging something back, right? That's just the reality of it. But that can easily happen at these levels, okay? So it's good that you did not take on e5 with the bishop. Attacking the knight is fine. All right. Seeing if they hang their rook, that's totally valid. G3 would be a very nice move here. Okay, check. And intermezzo. We learned about these earlier. All right, hanging our pawn. Not my favorite move. Yeah. And moving this rook undefends that pawn, unfortunately. All right, we got our bishop on an outpost. This bishop and this pawn are both protecting each other, as are these. That's good. That's a really good pattern. Okay, well, we'll move quickly because Yuso's embarrassed. Oh, the game isn't even. This isn't even the game. This is the game. Yuso resigned here. But okay. No worries. Okay. Yeah, I did just want to look at an e4 game. It's lost Yuso, but I mean, like I said, if you can try to play on, see if your opponent makes mistakes, but you're very lost here. I will admit that. So let me look at one of my games. Okay. I won this one, so I want to look at it. I won. Oh, this was a Caro-Kann game. All right, I'll try to teach this. This is I don't know if I'm qualified to teach it, but I very much enjoy Caro-Kann from white because I have some tricks in the opening. Okay, so the Caro-Kann is e4, c6, okay? And, playing some moves. This is the structure that black is going to get in a Caro-Kann. I don't recommend you play the Caro-Kann as black. I recommend e5 against d4, but this is a very common structure in the Caro-Kann. This is a very classical position. Okay, it's not what I play. I play something called the two knights attack. I'm going to put my knights here, and there are so many tricks in this line. I absolutely love it because I've really taken I've taken a lot of people to school with this line, with this attack, so I really like it. All right, Caro-Kann. They play d5. This is a Caro-Kann. All right, now it's the two knights, right? The idea being, if they take here, I'm gonna take back. Right, that's what I prefer they do. I'll show you a very common line and why this is so dangerous for white, dangerous for black, dangerous in a good way for white. Okay, if they take, I'm going to take. And then a lot of the time you'll see this move, just attacking the knight, right? In that case, we'll drop back and attack the bishop. Usually it'll go here. And listen, if you want to memorize this, then do it. I'm not going to give long explanations for these moves or a bunch of lines. If you get to something that I haven't shown, then just play well. Just play well. Follow the opening principles. These moves that I'm showing are not the most principled moves, but you just have to trust me that they're good. Okay. Okay. So takes. If they go here, we go here. Attacking the bishop, they'll drop back. and we're trying to ruin their pawn structure, or if they play along nicely, checkmate them with Legal's mate, which is just a beautiful checkmate. Okay, so we've gone here. Next move is here. If we could play this move right now, h5, bishop's trapped. We win the bishop. Hooray. Woo! You know, nowhere for it to go. Can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. Can't go here. Okay, it's trapped. So they'll play a move to not let that happen. I see this usually. I think h5 is probably a better move, but h6 is very reasonable. Just to make a square. Just to make a square. And at this point, I play here. If they don't play along for this funny little checkmate, then this is just a good developing move. I like this move. Whoops. Great move. Okay. And my threat here, if I could play two moves, or sorry, play here first. If I could play three moves, it would be here, whoops, whoa, here, here, and here, checkmate, assuming the bishop goes back. Okay. And you know, a lot of time I'll get this move, and that puts the stop to my plans. But let's hear. I do want to show you the checkmate though. This is mate. Okay. The knight covers these two squares, so the bishop can check the king. This pawn and these two pieces unfortunately restrict the movement of the king. That's checkmate. This checkmate pattern is called Legal's mate. Yes. Okay. That will never happen in this opening, but that's the threat of a lot of this opening. Okay. They play here. I'm gonna go here. And there's still threats. There's still threats because next I'm gonna play here. Okay. I may have shown these moves in a slightly wrong order though. Hold on. They play here. This is when I play here. I messed the order up. I messed the order up. This is the order. Okay. So now, I would love to take here. I would love to take here. Absolutely. Because if I take here, their pawn structure is extremely ruined in front of their king. I haven't really covered it much, but center pawns are better than edge pawns, so they've moved a pawn away from the center. The king is wide open if they castle king side. You know, it's very nice for me. Oh, that pawn's there from it's the fucking Caro-Kann. I'm stupid. All right. Oh, whoa, this is my game. No, no, no. Go back in this line. Okay. So I play here. And your opponent nearly always plays back. And now you do this. Okay, sorry. I showed the wrong line earlier. This is the move order. I'm threatening mate in one. This is the correct move order. My apologies. Threatening mate in one. Okay. You'll get this move a lot. It's the best move. They play a different, very reasonable move. They don't see the checkmate. Alright, checkmate. It's the best move. Preventing the mate. Then you play here. Threatening the mate again. A different mate. Right? They can't defend like this. They take it. This move doesn't work, but I don't remember why. Maybe it works. It's attacking my knight. Oh, I think you sack the knight here. I won't go into this line. I won't go into this line. I'm pretty sure there's a sacrifice in this line. Um, and here's the main line. That's the refutation. Okay. Um, you do not continue. You just play good moves. Okay, we're gonna castle, right? We're gonna play d4, control the center. We're gonna develop this bishop. All right, we're fine. We've really, in this position, I would take white every day. This is not great for black. I mean, they have one piece developed, technically. They've moved their queen, which isn't good. I have 3 pieces developed. I've also moved my queen. I'm ready to castle. I have space for my king. I made Luft, you know. This is just really good for white. But anyways, go back to the game. That did not happen. I took, and they played knight here. And I've been not taking this knight, but I remember in this game I took it. Just to see what would happen. I'm not gonna lie, I was just kind of curious. So they take and double their pawns. You know, they now have 0 center pawns, which is nice for me. All right, I take the center. They're developing. My opponent's already ready to castle. Let's move 6. So you know, good for them. Why did I play that move? I guess I just wanted to. No, I see why I played that move. This bishop doesn't really have much of anywhere to go other than like here. This is not a great square. So I want to develop this bishop and this bishop. So I played g3, preparing to Fiancado my white bishop, and also allowing myself to play bishop f4. Castles, Fiancados. I assume I castle. Yep. Okay, so we're both doing a good job of developing, right? Oh, looks like I'm gonna double Fiancado. Interesting. This bishop's not the best on this diagonal. I probably should not have played like this because these pawns, this bishop's got no future attacking the king if they keep these pawns the way that they are. They're very strong. And I'm playing very quickly in this game. I probably should have taken some more time to think. It's a 5-minute blitz game, so. All right. Queen b6 with no apparent threat. All right. Taking space on the queen side. I like that move. I'm really restricting their light square bishop quite a bit. That's a good move. And I'm also threatening c5, which would be a fork. And I would win a piece. And I thought that this was a sacrifice in some way. I really could not see the like 2-move tactic here. They can take this pawn. Because when I take back, they take my bishop. Okay, so they just want a pawn. Okay. So I saw it after they had already taken the pawn, and I was like, I don't know, like, I want to not do this tactic. Like, I just, like, felt so bad because I missed it. So I was like, let's do something else. All right, now I'll take. I didn't have to take, because this is just a trade of bishops, but I think it's good to take. I don't know. I'm unsure. One of the downsides, by the way, of Fiancadoing in front of your king is my king doesn't have any space right now. I need to play something like this or this to give my king space. And that's a little sloppy. That's why I don't like Fiancadoing in front of my king. I find it very weakening. I prefer to do the pawns here structure. I might prefer that. Okay. Attack this bishop anyways. I was just angry. I was not feeling good about this game. Alright, attack the queen, hanging my a pawn like an idiot. Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, I knew that was gonna hang it, and I knew that was it was just straight up pawns. But now, I'm very vulnerable on this square, right? If this knight wasn't here and somehow they had a second piece defending the square, this wins my queen, right? So, um, I remember it was a sloppy game, so it wasn't pretty. It was a 5 minute blitz game, so I guess they're not really pretty, but all right. I offered a queen trade because I was scared of exactly what I was just talking about. I was afraid of getting forked on e1, and my opponent wanted no part of a queen trade. And this looks really bad for me, except for one move, which is bishop f1. Um, Otherwise I'm getting mated or losing my knight. Um, but I bishop f1, bishop a5, threatening my queen. I wasn't really sure why he did that. I offered a queen trade again. I really wanted the queens off the board. I was feeling unsafe. They took it. All right, feeling a lot less unsafe. I'm just like very happy at this point. Okay, notice that my d4 pawn's defended by the knight. That was a critical. If that wasn't the case, then bishop c3 was actually a really, really tough move. And in this position, white's losing, not lost, but losing for sure. I'm down a pawn. Um, my pawn structure is better, right? I have 2 and 3, and they have 4, but with 1 doubled, and then they have 2 pawn islands, which are not very good. Pawns like to be next to other pawns, for sure. I'd say it's better for black, Gav. I would say it's better for black. I do not have the engine on right now, but pass pawn in the A file is very strong, and you actually see that in this game. But I was able to manage it, luckily. We still have, a few pieces on the board. And something to notice about this passed A pawn, though. The queening square, which is the most important square when you're talking about queening a pawn, believe it or not, is a dark square. I do not have a dark square bishop, and my opponent has a dark square bishop. Okay, so that's really bad for me. That's really bad because they can control this square all day, and I can only control it with these pieces, whereas they can control it with all of their pieces. Okay, so I lose on that square. I need to stop the pawn before it gets to that square, or it queens. Okay. A5. Important not to play A6 because my bishop covers that. Okay. I was trying to get my bishop out somewhere where I could stop the pawn. I'm realizing now that bishop c4 would have been a lot better, but I'm also kind of aiming at the king. I don't know. I'm hoping to get some attack off. I'm definitely worse here. And yeah, they're starting to march the pawns, so okay. Put my rook behind it, which is a really strong move. That pawn's in a lot of trouble. They can't defend it in literally any way, right? This doesn't defend it. Bishop can't defend it. Moving it doesn't defend it. There's no funny check and then over here tricks because bishop or knight takes. So okay, my pawn finally good. Hello. Progress the game. Did my opponent resign? What happened here? Hello? The game ends. Oh, my opponent flagged. That's right. I was so confused. No, they flagged. They literally did not make a move for 47 seconds. That's right. That's how I won. Um, that's right. I forgot about that. So, okay. In this position, the engine says it's drawn. It's 0.00. That's what the engine says. And there was never really all that much of an advantage. Apparently there was plus 2.69 in this position, but I remember I reviewed the game and the opponent that or the line that the computer wants me to play to have this big advantage. I'll play it for you right now. Is like I would never see this. Like, all right, this is the idea, right? That's the thing. There's a pin of the bishop to the queen. That's the whole idea. And I just like I don't know why, but it just that seems so unintuitive to me. I guess it makes sense because the bishop can never go here and defend the pawn. But to me, evaluating, I wouldn't call that plus 2.69. That's a very big advantage. But yeah, um, that's one of my games. Yeah, I could play some games, but I don't know that I'd play all that well right now. I'm a little bit low energy. What are we feeling? What are we feeling? I can play with odds against chat. I could. What are all of your ratings? Doing your nails, very nice. Well, in that case, Gav, would you like to play an odds game? We shit. Let me check. This is Gav, I think. 967. I don't know how much odds I'm willing to give you. 967, Gav. I'm not that good. Do like pawn odds. We can have a game for sure, but Yuso, got you. Let me add you anyways. Okay. Um, sure. No, I don't want to try material odds game. Fucking did you want 10 minutes each side or 10 minutes total, Gav? I can multitask while you're doing your nails, Yuso? Yeah, we can do that after. We'll go unrated. Okay. Yeah, you definitely do not have to. Okay, cool. We've accepted. Now Gav's gonna stream snipe me very hard, so just be aware of that. Gav's a D4 lad. Gav heard that I'm an E4 guy, so he's trying to get me out of my prep. I respect it. I don't see C takes D5 all that often. Um, I have seen it, but not. Oh shit! I've been playing like very fast. The 10-minute game. I gotta slow down and think. I'm a silly goose here. Okay. I mean, I've played mostly theory. I'm pretty sure up to this point, but okay. So I usually go here against this. And I'm like in castle. Oh, I don't have to do that though. Because I have this lovely lady out in the boat. But if okay, so if I did something like this move would make me have to move the lovely lady, and then hello, Isog. Using my time. Unfortunately, I've been tricked into using my time here. And I would not have a counter attack on the opponent lady. And then I'd be sad. Let's go. Okay. I was hoping Gav would mute me. Okay, so now I can really analyze. I'm thinking this move now because we're threatening to double these pawns. I like that. I'm gonna do it. Now this is obviously pinned. So if I get kicked here, it's fine, even if he does this. Oh, okay. That's not a spicy move from Buddy Gav, because now his king is very much open. Very exposed. So we're gonna try to make him pay for that. That's a rough one, unfortunately. Ooh, this looks really good for me. Um, I think I'm gonna start by shoving this pawn down his throat. I should probably take a while to calculate here. Someone here? How does he get more pieces over here? I mean, he's gonna have to like work back like something like this. This is very rough for Buddy Gav. He's gonna have to create counterplay, I think, is the biggest idea here. But even if he like checks or something, I can just block. And that's that. This queen's a freaking monster. Ooh, I didn't see that. How did I not see that move? Why am I stupid? Alright, I guess I'll just take a free pawn. Fine. If I have to. Sad. Okay, so we're gonna work the lady around. Bring her back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. So that undefends this pawn. But where's this knight gonna go from here? That's an important question. It's gonna come over and defend, I think, but I'm gonna take another free pawn. I am. If this knight goes somewhere attacking my queen and also discovering an attack on my bishop, I can just defend, as I was saying. Okay. So we'll go ahead and defend. Remove a recapture. Make him suffer. I did really poorly so far making him suffer, so I'm sorry. He's still in a lot of trouble here because the queens are on the board and my lads are coming, but not as crushing as I was hoping, unfortunately. Very unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully if I could transport this pawn here, it's mate in two for me. So all right, so he's done this check that I talked about. Okay. So I can move my king or I can block with the knight. I'm gonna go the latter way. He can try to put pressure on me like this, but I can just defend. Actually, I can better defend this way, and then I can try to castle queenside and tuck my king over here. All right. Can I do this? Is this allowed? I might want to go here first. Because I think he's coming to double up. Well, I have a lot of control over this square, though. What this square? Huh. Oh, that would be trouble. Would be a lot of trouble. Alright, if he does that, then I'll deal with it. Maybe not the best thing to say, but think that's gonna be how she goes. Okay. So my options to deal with it are this, which looks better than the other way. Although that allows a forced queen trade. Excuse me. Forced queen trade, which is really rough. I don't want to trade queens. So if I go here, the thing is this fucking sucks ass. Well, actually, it's not that bad. I can go here and block everything. Um, that actually looks really good. Okay. Okay. Seems good to me. Right? By the way, we're coming in with checkmate quickly if I'm allowed. If this pawn gets here, I have forced mate too. So remember that. And actually, there's no checkmates with just these two pieces now. Because if we go here, even if this guy wasn't here, okay, all right, I like that. Very much like that. Never mind. But frick, wait, when did Gav send this message? Frick. Okay, so I'm in good shape. I'm in very good shape here. My king is safe in the middle of the board, and I'm two tempi away from forced mate. So, whoa, big moves by Gav. All right. So with the idea of this is check, winning my rook, making me sad. Um, it's a good move. I think I kind of have to castle kingside, sadly. That would kill my entire attack because the rook doesn't defend this anymore. All right, let's go here. Um, this actually is still defended, luckily, and also this is hanging. So here's the thing. This threatens mate in two, forced. Um, but is there a way to stop that? I don't think so, actually. There's no checks. Oh my gosh. Is that mate in two? How does it get defended? They have to defend this square. So they go here or here. Nope, that hangs. Here. And that's a hold. So I should just take the piece. Yeah? Here, here. What do I do next? Nothing. I have nothing. Okay, I gotta take the piece. Fuck. I wanted a mate. I really wanted a mate. Don't take my pawns. How dare you? It's very rude of you. Check. Oh wait, now I can turn mate in one. Now there's nothing to stop it. Okay. Apparently I can't calculate mate in three. I can only calculate mate in two. Go me. Alright, and that's a resignation. Good game. Good game, Gav, if you're back. That was let's review that. Yeah, right here. It doesn't even matter that you hung a piece, really. this is the start of everything, Gav. Um, you really don't want to have your pawns doubled in front of your king. Well, not doubled, but you don't want to have your pawn structure so weak in front of your king. Like that's like juicy. Like when I go here, um, if I were playing as white, wouldn't let you double my pawns in the first place to play something like this. But um, how do I go to the actual game? It's the board is pale. All right. Yeah, just getting your king open like that. So even if I did double your piece or your pawns here, if this pawn went here, then I would not castle into that too. So it was letting me double your pawns there and open the pawn structure up and also castling into it. This is the move basically that made me salivate, you know. 'Cause that's a forced doubling of your pawns, right? You can't take the queen. Yeah, no, I know, but what I'm saying here is that this is already like really, really, really bad for you. Um, just this is you know we're starting to build the coffin, not the nail in the coffin, but all right, move 11. You've not hung a piece. Well, this is fine. Um, this move though, yeah, I was not a big fan of. You're right on move 11. Here I was like, my attack's dying, and then you undefended this pawn on f4, and yeah, very much to your point. I was happy to take here, and knowing the queen would be able to defend the bishop. Yeah, and then from here it was just hello Donald. It was just me making sure that I didn't get checkmated and like lose my rook, and my attack never really died, luckily. Here, I was saying, Gav, my idea is always play checkmate, but with the knight here, you could actually play here and hold for at least a little bit. How am I doing? I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. We've been live for over 8 hours, but we're having a good time. We were playing Pokemon Platinum for about 5 hours or something like that, and lately I did a little bit of a very rudimentary opening principles teaching, and then we were going over some of Yuso in chat, her games, and then we went over a couple of my games, and I just played a game with Gav in chat. So we're kind of looking at this one now. So yeah, you actually could have held like this, but so I didn't go into that line, and I just took instead. And it kind of doesn't matter what you do here now. It's force mate, so yeah, that was good. Yeah, so like I said, it doesn't even matter like this stuff. It was move 7 here. Castles was not what I would have done. Yeah.